Hi, my name is Mark Walker. I'm the editorial director at the Fintech Times, and we're here at Seamless in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for Seamless TV. I've got a great interview for you today, and I'm going to ask my interviewee to introduce himself to you.
Great, thank you. I'm Karl Escritt. I'm the CEO of Like Digital & Partners. I'm based in Dubai, but I'm here in Riyadh also for Seamless Middle East.
Fantastic. So let's take a little bit of a history lesson then. Obviously, as you mentioned, based in Dubai. What brought you to expand out here? Because obviously you're originally from London and we know each other from a previous life as well.
Yeah, good question. It was a little bit by kind of accident, but as many kind of things are. So we were, the London agency, which has been kind of running for 11 or 12 years now, was approached in around 2016 by a small family-run office in Dubai around kind of the expansion into kind of e-commerce and digital in the Middle East. They had already a number of connections and agencies and so on that they were running in Dubai. And so we had a number of conversations, looked at how we might kind of strategize that, what it kind of might look like, what the opportunities were. It feels like quite a long time ago, 2016 to where we are right now. And they put in a small investment in order to get that kind of office up and running. And yeah, the kind of rest is kind of history, so to say.
Absolutely. And so if you were to sort of sum up, obviously, agency, sum up the sort of the main service offering that you're offering out of the Dubai office.
The Dubai office, primarily, I guess because of the region and what it kind of, I guess, is known for, is primarily hospitality at the moment. So unlike the UK office, which primarily deals on e-commerce and digital retail experiences, Dubai is still favored towards the hospitality space, but that's generally quite broad. It can include everything from the booking engines and the transactions that happen off the back of that. The whole advent of COVID and restaurant reservations and the bookings and so on that go off the back of that. So very much kind of in that kind of hospitality space. Everything from the kind of early entry points of digital all the way into where it's kind of going now with kind of IoT and so on. But I guess that's now beginning to change a little bit, and we're doing a lot more kind of e-commerce focused work, as the Middle East is moving kind of post-COVID into that kind of e-commerce realm, I guess.
I guess that was going to be my kind of next question, is obviously with the UK roots in e-commerce, you seem perfectly positioned to be able to take advantage of what's currently happening within the whole of the Middle East, which is sort of like an e-commerce sort of explosion, effectively, where more and more people are moving from more retail sort of bricks and mortar focused stores into online experiences.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, we obviously have a lot of experience. That's really where the agency's kind of roots are. So it makes a lot of sense for us to kind of begin to focus on that. I mean, we have a number of clients and businesses that we're working with in order to enhance their kind of e-commerce strategy and their transformation from bricks and mortar into a fully connected commerce and digital kind of experience that very much kind of, I guess, includes their roots in bricks and mortar, because really the Middle East is known for exceptional and really interesting bricks and mortar and physical experiences. But so really a lot of the work that we're now doing is really a shift from what we're known for in the UK and Europe, and really looking at this much more omni-channel kind of experience, which kind of understands where the consumer is in their commerce journey, whether it be physical or whether it be from a digital point of view, and how we can kind of merge that and create a much more holistic transactional experience for brands.
It's kind of interesting. I was listening to, and we were fortunate enough to interview Gidea, and they were talking about the onset of hyper-personalization when it comes to dealing with their merchants. So I guess that kind of supports what you were just saying.
Yeah, and personalization is a real key, real king. I mean, if you look at the likes of Netflix, which is probably the king of personalization, the entire business model is built on personalized content. And really, from a commerce perspective, really that's the the thing that's the driving force around what is going to be the new revenue model and how you kind of acquire and keep kind of customers. How personalized can you make the experience, because it needs to be timely, it needs to be relevant. They may be in store, they may be on the metro, on their phone, they may be simultaneously watching something on TV while using a tablet or something like that. And it's really, how do you kind of drive that timely and relevant personalized experience in order to, when the transaction is ready to be taken, are you in the right place as a brand or as a business in order to kind of capitalize on that?
I think that's kind of interesting, and I'll ask you a question which you may or may not be able to answer, because obviously we're with the Fintech Times and we're very interested in financial services. So you mentioned the word transaction, the endpoint. How much do you think there is of relevance to the type of payment method that people need to use?
So it's a very good point. I mean, because even though I guess from a business perspective, from our side of things, we are not a fintech business, and we don't kind of allude to being a fintech business or really having an expert knowledge like in that space. However, what we understand is we understand the need of a transaction. Yeah, and ultimately, at the end of the day, whether you're in the e-commerce space, whether you're in the hospitality space, or whatever it may be, there is an endpoint to a consumer journey, and that usually involves some sort of transaction, monetary transaction. And from an e-commerce perspective, really, what we need to understand is a consumer wants ease. Yeah, they want to be able to do something as easily and quickly as possible, and we've seen that throughout really the evolution of commerce and the evolution of transactions online, where they were relatively cumbersome and difficult initially, where I'm kind of hunting around for my card and I'm putting in, there was a little bit of hesitance around doing it, all the way to where we are right now with the ease of one-click transactions, Apple Pay and Google Pay and so on and so forth. So what it really kind of tells us is that the need for a consumer is less around how I pay, and it's actually all around how quickly I can pay and how seamless, excuse the pun, how seamless I can pay. And that's really where the success story is. So, we've seen whether is that Apple Pay, is it via credit card, is it via cash on delivery, is it via a buy now, pay later method, is it via crypto or so on and so forth. But from a human being perspective, that's the need. Yeah, and I think that's where I think at times we forget that there's a human being at the end of that transaction, and technology shouldn't get it in the way. It should actually kind of enhance the experience.
It's really interesting. It's good to hear from someone that's not in the industry that we're in say the same things that a lot of us are now starting to realise, that actually payments is almost irrelevant. Oh. It's the end result. People don't wake up in the morning and go, I want to make a payment today. They want to purchase something and they want to transfer value. How they do that, they just want the most convenient way of doing it. And it's good to see actually our industry is starting to realise that. And one of the interesting things, because I want to start now talking a little bit about, as we're here in the kingdom, what's going on in Riyadh, there's a thing called open banking. Which is an opportunity that the Saudi 2030 vision has started to try and capitalise on, to actually make it simpler for people to move money from traditional bank accounts. So my kind of question for you more is, are you seeing many differences in the way people want to interact with regards to e-commerce here in the kingdom as opposed to maybe in the UAE?
I think to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, in the kingdom, there was a lot of cash on delivery prior to COVID. It's moved incredibly quickly in regards to the multiple payment methods, cashless payment methods, and it will no doubt change, I think. But I think fundamentally, I think it's just really to the point of where we were before, is that it really is down to the consumer and how they feel comfortable with paying for things at the end of the day. And if you have a whole load of crypto in a wallet somewhere and you want to buy a Starbucks with that, then so be it. If you want to do it via a buy now, pay later method, if that's how you feel comfortable with, and so on. I think it comes down to really the individual, it comes down to the demographic, it comes down to the product itself. and what you feel is relevant and which method makes sense. I mean, I think that's really from a consumer experience point of view. I think that's what we've seen a lot over the last few years is when is it appropriate to do a one-click Apple Pay payment method versus a credit card payment method versus a buy now, pay later payment method, and so on and so forth. So there is a whole world of consumer interactions that we probably are yet to explore. But I think underpinning it all, whether you're in the UAE or whether you're in in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we're all consumers at the end of the day, and those consumer habits will be only dictated by the consumer.
Fantastic. So for my final question, I was going to ask you what's next for Like Digital and Partners. I hear a rumor of maybe a Riyadh office at some point.
Yeah, that's right. We've been talking a little bit about that over the last few days here at Seamless. We're quite excited to come into the market. We're already working with some really interesting businesses in the e-commerce space on how we can kind of transform their digital strategies and really kind of propel their brands over the coming years into a new kind of digital kind of ecosystem. So opening the office in Q1 next year, around March time, in Riyadh is quite exciting, and we're really looking forward to really being here more often, really kind of getting to understand a really interesting and developing digital and e-commerce market.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today. Hope to see you here again next year.
Thank you very much, Mark.